Hey everybody, welcome. It is Wednesday, and that means we are live for another Masterclass session. Today we're going to be teaching power users how to create their own top-down monster tokens. And that's really frustrating if you're a DM and you have this really cool beastie that you want your players to square off against in your campaign, but you just can't seem to find a token that kind of matches the image in your head. Well, you can always create your own with the tool. Now, Inkarnate may not have its own official monster token creator. You can certainly think outside of the box and be creative. Already, the stamps that you use to make top-down monster tokens would be top-down stamps, so it's already kind of got a good start for you there. So we're going to show you how to make these. If you're kind of curious, like what you are capable of making. I've made a whole bunch here. I'm not going to spend too much time going over them, but you can make things such as your own dragonborn type of creatures with humanoid, half dragon, half human. You can make things like furries or little furry creatures like an otter or elk. You can make stuff like mythical creatures from Greek mythology like Cerberus, Hydra, the Kraken, those kind of things. You can make holiday themed monster tokens like this one right here. We're getting close to the holidays here, and so I've kind of made some snowmen, Krampus, direwolf, just kind of stuff that's associated with the holidays, at least that holiday in specific. You can make more furry creatures like bears. This is the one that's on the thumbnail. There's also steampunk. You can make whatever you want. It's just kind of limited by your imagination on what you can create. Okay, so let's just go ahead and jump right in. I'll show you how I kind of go through my process on how to make these. So we'll create a new map. I'm going to go to Fantasy Battle Maps because remember the stamps are top down. We'll go to Landscape. Hey, by the way, both first-time chatters, glad that you're here. Azeli and Outside Almond 18. Awesome. So glad that you guys were able to make it for the stream. That's great. So one of the first things I'll do is just go ahead and make the screen gray. Normally you would fill with black. But I like to use gray because this way I can kind of see whether an object shadow is on. If it's black, then you can't see the shadow. So it's kind of more helpful to use this gray. And then when we're done, we'll switch over to a black background because when the stamps are scaled up a little bit, you can see kind of the chalky outlines of the art, and you can hide that with just a black screen, but we'll save that for later. So when you're putting a monster token together, it's all about just thinking outside of the box. So in other words, for instance, a mask is not just a mask. It could be the face for a monster token. Maybe some bread can be limbs, or maybe some hay can be fur. You have to think outside of the box. When you're looking at a stamp, you're not saying, oh, this is actually hay. It's something else. So that's the trick when trying to figure out how to make monster tokens. You just have to think outside the box. Not every stamp is exactly what it is. You can change it up. So the way that I go about doing it first is, first we need to pick like a theme or a race or a species or whatever. And what I'll do is I'll make three. One will be anthropomorphic, one will be like a quadruped, four-legged creature, and then we'll also have a humanoid as well. And I'll show you how to make those three. And then everything else kind of just branches off from those three types. And of course, you guys in the audience can go ahead and choose which kind of monster tokens you want to see. So if you have any suggestions, feel free to throw them into the chat. Just make sure they're not D&D copyrighted creatures or anything like that. So if you have ideas on what kind of monster tokens you want me to make in this stream, throw those in the chat. We'll try to make those. And of course, if you're on our Discord server, I'm more than glad to take requests. If there's a monster token set that you want to see, just ping me on our Discord server, and I'm more than willing to kind of make those things. All right, so go ahead and throw your ideas on what kind of monster tokens you want to see here in the chat. And then while that's happening, I'll get started on the anatomy to get it going. So it's a good place to start is going to be a humanoid feature. Love the dragon idea. We'll definitely throw that in there. Oh yeah, think about it, Angel Crab. Also some first-time chatters. Love to see it. So we're going to make a humanoid. And one of the easiest ways to put the monster token together is to kind of use some things that already look like a human. And so I think there are some mannequins that you can find that are in the Artisans pack. And then right here, you'll see mannequins. Right here, dress mannequin. And there's a mannequin right here. Now this right here works great. When you're making your first monster token, or at least a humanoid, I totally recommend that you use this one as your start because it already has the anatomy attached to it. And so it's a great start. From here, you have to kind of start putting things together from here. So start with a mannequin. This is the easiest one. It's stuck in a T formation, as you can kind of see with the arms spread out, but that's okay. We're not going to be stuck using the T formation for every monster token. We're going to start with something super easy. After this, you kind of need to decide. What I do is, if you already have the body already made like this as one stamp, then you want to maybe give it a face. And if it's truly top down, you might not be able to see the face, especially if they're wearing a hat. I think the face part can be kind of difficult. So instead, what we'll do is we'll put down a hat. And what's really nice is there's a whole series of hats. Again, in artistry, you have this. And what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to make some kind of mercenary. One that has a human. They can have probably some armor. I'm probably going to give them several weapons to equip. And I'm thinking that's a good start, is some kind of human mercenary. And of course, you might want to give them some kind of armor. Like maybe they have like a hat. That's a good start. So now they have some armor there. We want to continue adding on armor. Let's push this up several layers. And the reason why is because we're going to build a bunch of other stamps on top of this mannequin. So we have the helmet, which is great for defending your head. And then we also want to create some shoulder pads, maybe some gauntlets and stuff like that for them to wear. And what's a really good thing to use is pipe. Pipe works really well. You can use pipe to kind of work as the armor. I'm going to go ahead and turn the layer shadow off. I don't need it. I'm going to push this down a layer. And then you can place these just right over top like this and just line it up. And now you have some shoulder armor right here. That's a good step. Let's keep kind of adding stuff to the arms as we go here. Here's a nice little gauntlet. This could be a gauntlet right here. You can make a longer piece, I think. Let's take a look here. This might work good as a decent gauntlet right here. We'll put that on right there. There we go. There we go. Copy and paste. Put another one on there. And in fact, you know what's really cool is we might do something a little bit different. One thing I like is to be asymmetrical and to do something unique and different. So for this, one arm will be armored and the other side will be some kind of a cloth material instead. And I think that will make it a more unique outfit. And the way that I decide my outfits, like what they're wearing and what they're armed with, it all depends on what kind of class or what kind of species they are. All those kind of things determine the outfit and everything. Since we're making a mercenary, kind of makes sense that they have armor. I think it'd be interesting to do half armor again and half cloth. Let's go ahead and turn off the shadow on this piece as well. And I think I'll desaturate this just a little bit. There we go. Perfect. Okay. And we'll put that piece on there. So some other nice things to do on the shoulders pads is that you can put spikes or studs or all kinds of interesting things. Maybe a symbol of some kind. Maybe they're called the mercenary of the fish, you know, because they have a fish banner that represents their sigil or something like that. So let's maybe do something like that. So if I type on a fish and then I just pick a fish design that I like, I can turn the shadow off and let's just put the fish on just like that. And instead of it being colored like that yellow, we'll make it look like it's metal. So I'll switch to luminosity. I'll bring the brightness down. And now I have this fish-like icon that has on there. Okay. Let's say that I want to make, let's see here. It really depends here what kind of armor that we want to do here. Let me take a step back and look at it real quick. I think this is it here. Go in that T position. Let's go ahead and give them some weapons and then we'll continue just going on. I'm going to finish off that right arm. So I'll give them a weapon. And I think what's nice is we'll give them a balanced feel to it. So we'll give them both a sword and a pistol. So the sword is a short range weapon that can work to close the gap in distance, and there'll be a pistol for them. So let's just say that the pistol misses or it hits them but doesn't kill them. They can go in with a sword. So we'll give them various weapons, kind of a balanced character. And I'll just type in sword. Oopsie. There we go. Nice. And there's a various amount of swords we can use here. I kind of like the pirate-like sword a little bit. I like that. I think that's interesting. And we just kind of place this. Let's turn that shadow off. For now, I'm just turning all the shadows off. And I'm just going to place it to where it fits right there on top, just like this. There we go. So now they're armored with a sword. Let's also give them a pistol in the other arm. So I'll just type in gun or pistol. I think this wooden one looks nice. We'll put it on just like that. Oopsie, we'll put it down below the arm. There we go. Okay. Ooh, you know what? Flip. There we go. My mistake. Custom none. There we go. And now they have a pistol. That works out great. Just want to line it up. Now they have the pistol. You know what also kind of makes sense is that they maybe want to have a small shield attached to their left arm so that they can block with things. So we might want to take a really small circular buckler and just kind of put it on top of their right arm. And now I would put the bracelet or the band in which the arm would go through, but you can't see it because the shield will be on top. So you don't need to show that. So instead, let's make the shield. What might work well is a stool. Just a simple wooden stool can work as a shield. Turn off the shadow. We're going to rotate it a little bit and just put it right on top. And I'm going to make the wood a little bit darker. So let's make it darker. And I don't want it to be massive. It's just small enough to deflect a blade or a small attack. It doesn't have to be massive. Just a small little buckler that's going to go on right there. That'll work out just fine. And of course, we could put a piece of metal in the center of it. So we could probably just use a pillar for that. Let's just use this Asian style thing right here. We'll go with saturation and just make it real small. Just put it right on top like that. There we go. And then just turn off the shadow. There we go. Okay, and let's rotate it this way a little bit. There we go. Okay. So now we have a buckler. So now they have kind of all the necessary equipment that they have on the upper part of the body. They have the sword. They have the shoulder pad armor, their sigil on the shoulder. They have the helmet. They have the shield. I do notice a little bit, by the way, that their arm is tilted a little bit. So it might make sense to copy and paste this real quick. And then we'll make a different variation of the shield where there's a little bit of perspective. So I'll put that there, bring the brightness down. There we go. And now it looks like there's a face to the shield like that. So we're going to select all of these, not that, create group. We're going to call it shield or buckler. Create, there we go. And oopsie, it didn't include that, my bad. Create group, shield. Nice shield, there we go. Now we can do it this way, and you can put it whichever way you think looks best. Does it look better like this with the perspective that way? I think it kind of does look a little better that way. The shield's a little thick, so I might take the smaller one, just kind of push it up a little bit more. There we go. There we go. I think right about there is where the buckler should go. There we go. So you have a nice shield here. It's not a massive shield. Again, if it was a massive shield, then it wouldn't be very helpful to the pistol, right? If you have a heavy shield, it's going to be heavy on your arm, and you're going to be much slower on the draw. So it only makes sense to give them a small buckler in which it's not too heavy, and it makes it easier to quickly draw the pistol. Okay, so now that we have much of the upper body kind of taken care of, we need to start taking care of the lower body. So we have some options here. We can make full plate armor, which I think is what we'll stick with for right now, a full chest plate armor. And what works great is you can just use this right here to kind of make the chest plate, but you might have to do some slight editing a little bit, just bring it down. There we go. And so you have this nice chest plate and then the openings on the side. Now, remember I mentioned you can see these thick black outlines. Don't worry about that. When you switch to black, just go to fill, and you'll see that those black lines disappear. So when you're finished the monster tokens, fill in with black, and then you won't have those really thick outlines. All right, so now we have a nice chest plate. What about giving them like a cloak in the background? I think a nice red cloak might look good. So we'll maybe push this down a layer. Let's turn off the shadow and push and hide the top of the hat. And then just use this as a red flowing kind of cloak that's going to be behind them. So that works out well. We might also, is the cloak attached to the armor at the bottom? You could create shoulder straps for it. All these various options. Like we could go in and use a market. Use a market stall piece right here to kind of create a piece that should go over like this if you want to create the part that goes over like that if you want. So it's up to you how much detail you want to go into it. We could do the same thing here. It goes off like that. So let's go like this. And then if you want, we can go ahead and use this same piece right here, copy and paste this piece. And this can act as kind of the buckle pieces that go on there that kind of buckle in that part. And then we also want to, because it's not a top down, you might want to change some of the perspective a little bit of this. And so we'll rotate it like that, copy, paste. And then you have these pieces right here that are kind of holding in the chest plates together. So you're starting to get the idea on how it kind of puts together. You slowly piece these together, and it kind of works out when you start just using your imagination and kind of enjoying it. I think some of the pipe stuff might have a layer shadow on it. Let me just kind of verify that. Let me check here. One of these has a shadow on right now, and I want to turn that off. That's why I always generally have it set to white in the beginning, so I can kind of see when there's shadows on them. All my soldiers wear pasties. Well, yes, of course. Why would you not add pasties? Come on. Like, duh, hello. All right, so we have kind of this mercenary who's kind of got these kind of outfits here. Now, I did mention of changing up the color a little bit. One thing I could do is just go change, desaturate this to where it looks like it's all silver. And then I'll have this part over here be armor. All this will be armored, and this side will be a different color. And so you can recolor stamps by just using a path, switch it over to draw, and then you're going to want to make sure that it's set to a straight line. We're going to turn shadow off, and we're going to pick a color. So maybe this side of the arm, I want to pick a color. Let's go with maybe a yellow color. What colors go well with red? I think yellow might work well. Let's go with this orangish color. And let's first just switch the blend mode over to color. And then we're going to go over this real quick and just see how this looks going over this. There we go. There's that yellow color. That looks good. Let's change the size up. There we go. And then I can go in. And, oh, in fact, you could, what might even work better than using the line tool, is to actually use the shape tool. My mistake. Do the shapes tool instead, and then do the fill. Choose a color, choose that color that you want, and then use the shape, the pen here. And what we'll do is we'll create this part of the armor. It could even be cloth, like yellow cloth right here, and just go all the way over like this and just kind of fill in. It doesn't matter about the black outline part. Just kind of go through here and just kind of make sure that you don't rear off to the side or anything. And then just press enter, plus sign. And then we're going to want to push this down a layer. So I might have to push this up a layer. There we go. And then you kind of have this yellow side right here. And let's push this up a layer so it's above that. There we go. And so now we have one yellow cloth, and then we have some armor on the other side, and we can continue adding more armor pieces if you need to. Like we can add another one right here, a smaller one that kind of goes right here if you want. It's up to you. You can add all these pieces. Want to make the armor more interesting, add a little piece right here. There we go. So now we have some more armor pieces. Where are we at for time? Yes, you could brush, you could fill. There's all these different ways to kind of do it, okay? All right, so now that we have that part done, now we probably want to change up the legs. I don't personally care for the way the legs are set up. It's set up like it would look like a mannequin, just up straight. But really, your character would be in a more dynamic position. I generally don't do the pose yet until I'm done. And that way I can kind of rotate it and then move things around as I see fit. But for now, we'll do the pose later. Let's go ahead and add a couple things to them. For instance, I don't like those legs, so I can hide them using stamps. For instance, I could use a bag. As a mercenary, they might have a series of tactics and techniques that they might use to try to defeat enemies. And so we'll give them a bag that's attached to here. We'll bring the brightness down, it's a little further down. And so you have this little tiny, basically a little satchel that's just right here on the hip, on the inside. A fanny pack that's not on a fanny, shall we say. In fact, you can even put two of them there if you wanted to. You could have two different packs right here, in which maybe one of them has the rounds for that pistol right there. Maybe those bags right there have all the different rounds for the pistol. That kind of makes sense. Okay, we will do that. Now we can make the leg part. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of group. Let's make sure that all this stuff is at the right layer. Layer 1. Okay, let's make the legs. So the way that I go about making legs is that I want to have them be armored. And so I can just continue using the pipe for that. And so really you could just use the pipe that has this little bit of a circular edge to it. And this is going to act as like a knee okay? And we want to extend it a little bit. And so there's our knee. And then the next part, we want to add a shoe. So if you just type in boot, you can give them a boot to choose from. Now, I like that we already have brown from the wood, and brown is a neutral color, so it works out perfect. And we can just place that boot just right underneath, like that. Now, you normally would not be able to see the other part of your leg unless your leg was stretched out, which is a very vulnerable position for someone to be in. Normally, the legs would be underneath, or they would be out like in a lunge for an attack. And we'll talk more about positioning and poses later. First, let's just kind of make the legs here. And you just copy and paste, put another one, and then just flip this other leg. Unless they're both right-footed, that would be very interesting, right? Unless they're right-footed, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and take this here, and now let's just create group. We're going to call this right leg, R leg. Think of it as like a Mr. Potato Head, right? You're making the leg pieces, and then you're going to attach them to Mr. Potato Head. So then we'll also create group here. That'd be interesting, only walking in circles, right? Let's go ahead and make the left leg, which we'll say L leg. Okay, and then we want to push these down a layer, and then we can kind of decide where we want the legs to be. Now, I'm thinking that these are a little too bright. They should be a little bit darker because they're further down. So I'll bring the brightness down to a little bit darker. Let's go to 80. And the same thing with this one. We'll bring the brightness down a little bit. Okay, down to 80. There we go. Okay. And what I'll normally do at first is I'll just kind of place them like this, at this angle. And then now I can start figuring out how exactly I want to position them and their character. And what I'll end up doing is I'll probably rotate a little bit. And remember I talked about their tactic. They would fire the pistol first, and if the pistol missed, then they would, take a guess, then come in with the sword. So it kind of makes sense that I want to position them in a way to where they're having the pistol facing towards them in the direction towards who they're trying to attack. So that's a good idea. And then their sword is outreached past them on their right side, and then that way it's ready to make the attack if they need to. And they might want to change up the position a little bit, so I'll move the legs inward. And one thing you can do is if you want to show that the leg is bent back a little bit, just move the shoe back like that to have it look like that part of the leg is backwards. So moving it this way. Now, if you're wondering which way a shoe should be pointing with your thing, is you should know is that the shoe, the tip of the shoe should line up with the kneecap, okay? Normally your shoe is not going to go like this, okay? There's something wrong with your foot if it moves over that. Now, you can have it rotated just a teeny bit, but I wouldn't have it too far off from lined up with the kneecap. So don't try to do this or this. Just slightly rotate it enough to where it's noticeable, but not deviating too far from the kneecap. Just put your foot down and just try rotating your foot. It's actually kind of hard, and you'll notice that it very rarely shifts away from your kneecap. So it's a very good trick there to kind of remember that part. So I'll just go ahead and push this inward, push the shoe inward like this, and then place it right here like this. And maybe I'll even have them kind of facing inward like that, just a little bit. And then that can go over to there like that. Okay. And if you feel they're a little too small, we can always just boost the scale up. They are legs. There we go. That looks a little bit better. They were probably a little small. And now you have your first monster token right here. And if you're kind of like, well, it's difficult to tell which direction the head is facing because there's nothing on the helmet that is asymmetrical to let you know what the front of the helmet is, then what I recommend doing is putting something on top of the helmet or underneath it to indicate which direction their head is facing in. For instance, maybe I want to have them have a mask on of some kind, and what I can do is create maybe a plague doctor mask and then put that underneath of it, and then that will represent the direction in which they're facing. The other thing that you can do is you can put a flower or a plume or something on top of the helmet to show which direction it's facing. So if I want, I can go like this, and I can go like that, and then it's facing, you can tell which direction that it's facing in. So kind of a nice little trick there. I kind of like the helmet. I think I'll just stick with that. I will put one thing on top. Let's maybe take a feather or a quill, and let's just put that on top of it just for the heck of it. Technically, it wouldn't really go on there because the helmet is made of metal, A quill would fit in a fabric, but you could put one there if you wanted to. But I think you guys get the general idea on how to kind of put these things together, right? So we've made our first monster token right here. It took about 25 minutes, but you guys now get the general idea here. All right. Hey, first time chatter, Dewey3. Glad that you are here. So you guys kind of get the general idea here now with this one. Let's also make a furry one. And I also want to make what people were suggesting in here. There was some cool ones like a minotaur, a crab, a scorpion. I saw a snake. I saw a dragon. So I want to make those as well. Okay. Now, what happens if you want to make a four-legged creature, and then we'll also do another humanoid, but we'll have the limbs be different than a T position, because it would be really odd if all of your monster tokens were in a T position. That won't work, because sometimes characters or monsters are going to be carrying two-handed weapons, and they can't have a two-handed weapon being carried outstretched. A two-handed weapon is best used when it's held by two hands, obviously. So we're going to have to show that as well. Let's quickly do a quadruped or a four-legged creature. And we're going to make like a chimera-like a character. And so first we'll type in, we need to add in an animal of some kind to act as the body. Whenever I'm kind of putting this together, and I kind of choose what I want. I've got some cats. I've got this. We've got a beaver. We could use a boar for a character. We also have this hell-like monster. We have monkeys. We have all these kind of four-legged like creatures that kind of work, that can work. Let's try using maybe a goat. Let's use a goat. I think a goat's a good choice. So we have a goat here. Let's use... one second. Let me see here. Where is that goat at? Here we go. Perfect. Okay. Let's use a goat as the body. So you have the four legs. That all makes sense. Now I want to give it a different head. I don't want it to be a goat. Remember, it's a chimera. And one thing is you can type in trophy, and you're going to see all these various heads right here. And these all work great. Now, when we're making a chimera, we might want to choose to give it a different type of thing. Maybe like an eagle head would be more interesting. You could try doing that. Let me see here. Is this the right goat? Let me try another one. Is there other ones that work better? Ooh, this one has a different position. Like it's kind of in a different position than just straight forward. So I kind of like this even better. And then let's rotate it, because I can notice that there's a curve in the trophy there. And so we'll add this to the curve. Now you might notice that there are some things that are in the way. We're going to have to make some fixes to this. And that's okay. We'll get to that. Let's go to none here. Let's also maybe desaturate this, make it white, just like the kind of like the eagle head is. We'll do that as well. We'll do that. Now we have to hide that. Now, a great thing when making fur or feathers is to use hay. Okay, hay has all these nice little fibrous like artifacts in it. Look carefully at this hay. You see all that fiber on the edge there? That just works perfect for hay. So if we just desaturate this and bring the brightness up a little bit, and then we'll play around with this. Hey. And then you can kind of use this to kind of represent the top of the head. Like this, and that will also hide some stuff. And then we also going to want to hide this stuff. So I'm going to give it maybe some tusks or horns, because I want it to be a chimera. It's got like an eagle's head. It has a goat's body. It's got these big horns like Krampus. And then maybe we'll give it some wings as well. And then maybe the tail of a snake, just to kind of stick with the chimera-like feel to it. So remember, you just start with the body of an animal and then just start adding things on top of it. Let's go ahead and add those horns. There's a couple things we could use. We could use a tusk. These work fine. You could just put these like right here, like this if you wanted to. Let's actually put this up one and then put this up one. There we go. And then let's see how I want to go about this. Turn off the shadow. I just want to have them big enough to where I can hide those elements to it. There we go. Okay. Oh, yeah, I like that. Some nice horns there. That works out great. Let's move this one a little bit more this way. Let's rotate it this way a little bit. There we go. Okay, let's move this one a little bit this way. All right, I think that looks good. Already we're kind of coming together. We've got this nice bushy mane that it's got here in the back. I kind of like that. That looks good. Okay, let's push this way. Let's go ahead and also give it a tail. So let's find a snake. There should be a bunch of them here. This snake right here works perfect. It's got, and we can just kind of line it up to where it fits just right there, and then put it in the back like that. There you go. Now you've got this nice snake tail going on right here. Let's go ahead and turn the shadow off. Yep, eyes. Oh, absolutely. And you know what I recommend for eyes? It's using light. I can't tell you enough. So if you take a light stamp like this, and then just change the blend mode to normal like this, and then you can go ahead and place them right where the eyes are supposed to be, like this, and then you have these nice colors, and you can switch up and change the color whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be that color. It could be purple, it could be green, it could be blue. I mean, whatever color that you want it to be, but I usually do use light sources. So now we have this nice kind of creature put together here. Let's also put in a wing. Now, there aren't any wings, so you'll have to be creative and make your own. And I have this little technique that I use for making wings. And what we'll do is we'll use the line tool, we'll use the pen, and we're going to use a stamp. We're going to use a pole right here. There's a pole right here. And then let's maybe, since we already have green on there, green snake, let's also put in a green wing. So what I'll end up doing first is turning up the saturation, and then we're going to change the hue to where we get that green color. That should work out fine. And then we'll go ahead and create the wing. And what we'll do is we'll make the first part of the wing like this. Have it curved up like this. And then we'll have it going across kind of like that. Press enter. And then we'll bring the scale down. And I think it's a little too big, so we'll bring the scale up a little bit. A little too big, bring the scale, there we go. Here's the first part of the wing. Let's put it up a layer so that it fits onto the body. Like that, put it right about there. All right, and then we're gonna create the limbs of the wing. And so we'll go ahead and create that as well. One, and let's create another one. Like that, there we go. Oopsie, my mistake, I got rid of it. Okay, all right. Now that I've got the frame of the wing, now I need to make the wing part, and that's not too hard. We're gonna go over to, we're gonna turn off merge, and we're gonna turn off stroke. We're gonna choose fill. We're gonna choose some kind of stone here. This kind of has like a lizard-like kind of scaly look to it, so I kind of like this yellowish stone. And then we'll change the hue to a greenish color. And then I'm also going to bring the opacity down so it has a transparent kind of look to it. And then I'm just going to fill in like this the wings of the creature, and then just follow the frame all the way through to the end. And then we'll add more details to the wing as well. Let me just press add. Okay, and then I'm going to change the fill texture size. I'm going to push it down a layer so it's below. There we go. Let me take a step back, and then there's your wing. Okay, now one thing we also might want to do is we might want to give some talons on top of it. So let's go ahead and choose a spike or a tusk of my choice. Let's go ahead and turn off the shadow. We'll change the hue to where it's green. Let's bring the saturation up, find that nice green, and then just put this right here on the edge, just like that. And I can just copy and paste, just kind of put these on the edge of my wing, like that. There we go. And then let's put another one on here, a big one, because you've got some interesting poles overlapping here. And so to hide that, I'll go ahead and put a big spike right there. And let's also bring the brightness down on it a little bit. It's a little too bright. There we go. Okay. You maybe make it even smaller. There we go. Okay. And so now you have the wing kind of put together. There's only one more thing that I want to do, and that is that I want to have a transition between the green snake and the fur. And so I'll create a little bit of green on the body here. And so I'll use, couple options we could do here. We could just use a path and then switch it over to green. We could blur it, change it to color, and then just kind of place it like this. And then we'll bring that up a layer. There we go. And then just kind of put little dots here. There we go. And that creates some transition between the snake. But the green's a little off, so let me just use the same kind of similar green. There we go. Okay, and now we have kind of our chimera-like creature. They have one wing, but you could make two. This is pretty easy. Just go over and just select the wing that you kind of made here. Let's go ahead and make sure that I select all the stamps. Select. I think I selected all of them, and then deselect this. Oopsie. Let's select that. Oopsie, did I select it? I think I got it. Oh, nope, I didn't. My mistake. I got it. Come on. There it is. Gotcha. Nope, I didn't get it. You can do it. We're going to get it. We're going to get it eventually. Oh, no. This is why I generally should group things first, right? Yeah, it could be a texture too, which is what I was going to say. You could just use this same kind of scale texture that we used for the wing. We could also use there, which we might do. We can switch over to that, but we're running out of time. Let me just quickly create this wing, create, and then what's really cool is you can flip group. So if you have one wing there, you can just copy and paste and then just flip, and then there's the next wing like that. And you can also push it up a layer so that it's above the head if you want, like that. There we go. And so, and what's really nice is you have the transparency there. We can go ahead and just not worry about that for now, but here you go. So now you have like a chimera-like creature. That's because we're running out of time. I really want to make what some of you all have been suggesting. So let me just create this group and we'll just call it my own chimera. Okay, so we have a nice chimera here. We have this creature too. Let's just scale them up so they're around the same size. There we go. Okay, so 2 monster tokens down, and we've done it in 37 minutes. A little less than that with the intro. So we're moving right along. So it really only takes about 15 to 20 minutes to kind of make each one, at least for me. And the trick, again, is just to follow this method that you put out before you, right? You start with the big body or the head first, and then just kind of build your way from there. So it's really, really easy to kind of make these things with just a little bit of imagination here. All right, so let's go ahead and make what some people have been suggesting here. I'm gonna go scroll up into the chat here. I see we've got a minotaur, a crab, a scorpion, a snake. I mean, I like all of this stuff. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, those are the suggestions. Let's do the dragon one. Let's also save because I'm at like 203 changes here. And then I can also make these clonable if you want. If you guys like these tokens, you can totally use them for personal use. So we'll probably have enough time to make 2 more and then we'll call it good. But I want to start with the stuff that people were kind of suggesting. Like there's a dragon in here and then there's a snake, a minotaur. And if anyone else has any other suggestions, you should say something. Anyone else in the chat? Do you have any suggestions for what kind of monster tokens you'd like to see? Just make sure, of course, that they are not, they're not D&D IP or anything like that. So if you have a cool idea that you want to see, go ahead and share that in the chat and I'll go ahead and make that here in the stream. I did see that someone said they wanted to do a spider. Okay, let's do a spider as well as maybe a crab. Well, a crab and a spider are similar, so I don't really want to do both. And a golem. Hey, that's a good idea. Let's make a quick golem and then we'll make a crab as well. And in fact, we'll make a steampunk crab, like a steampunk style crab. That could be kind of fun. So first, let's make the golem. I like that idea. And, this one's not too hard to kind of figure out. What we need is if a golem is made out of books, is it made out of rocks? Is it made out of whatever? There is no transparent background yet for export, but don't worry, that's on our to-do list. So just kind of, that's up in the air, but we'll get to that. So let's go ahead and create the golem, and we need to decide what the golem is made out of. I mean, the most simplest golem that I know of is like a rock golem or an earth golem. And, you know, it's not a very hard place to figure out what to start with, and that is to start with a rock, right? A rock that's going to work. And I think we'll start with a shoulder. And I think this right here works as like the shoulder and the neck. And then we'll kind of build parts that are going to be kind of building off of that. So we'll top down, that will be the shoulder. And then we might want to make a head. And there's a couple ways that we could go about doing that. We could use a boulder for a head, like this one right here could work, or this boulder right here. And then we can put some kind of like eye on it or something. Let's use this one right here. And I want them to be desaturated so it's all made of the same material. Let's turn that off. Let's choose an eye, and then kind of, I think a nice, interesting kind of eye might look good on here. And we'll go ahead and just change it up. I want it to fit right onto here like this. And I think green's a good color. With gold, that's a good color. So you have a simple kind of face right here for the head. Let's turn off that. And I do want to have more to it than just a circular kind of head. We could add some more details to it to make it more interesting, like adding spikes or adding some rock or whatever kind of stuff that you want to add to it to make it more interesting. In fact, we could try using, let's see what it looks like by using this one instead. This would give me a lot less work because it already has some stuff on it. So let's just see what that looks like. Go ahead and scale that in here. Let's rotate it this way. There we go. You know, that's not too bad. I think that's okay. We'll kind of go with that, and then we'll add some light on the eyeball, and that I think will be a nice touch. Now it still doesn't look right. Let's just go ahead and go back to the strict boulder, and we can add stuff to it if we need to later. Okay, so now we have that set up. We have our shoulders going across. I think that looks good. Let's go ahead and figure out what we kind of other elements that we want to have as arms. And what's really cool is that some rocks might already have the shape as like forearms and biceps. So we can kind of go over the various rock shapes and just kind of look them over. Like right here, these rocks right here look fantastic. You've already got some nice, interesting shapes here. So let's go with this. This is perfect. Let's desaturate. Let's bring the brightness up just a little bit. And I think this right here looks great as a shoulder pad. So custom none, and we'll put a shoulder pad there. We'll copy, paste, put another one. This will act as a shoulder pad. Great. Let's go ahead and create group and call this the head. I'm going to put it right on top of it. Oopsie. Let's make sure that these are at the right layer. Way too far up a layer. There we go. Push this on top. There we go. These shoulder pads are a little big. And we're going to do something unique with our golem. We'll have one arm be small and another arm be this massive Hellboy-like of arm that does all the smashing. Okay, so we'll add a small arm and a big arm. And I think that will make the character more interesting by changing up their anatomy a little bit. It's a golem, right? It doesn't have to have symmetrical, quote-unquote, symmetrical anatomy. So let's create the small arm first, and then we can kind of work off of the small arm how to make the real big one, okay? So I think this right here, let's take a look at the other pieces here, which ones we have. This one right here kind of works as an arm. I kind of like that shape right there. That works great. And then we can go through the shapes and see if we can find maybe another one that will work. I think I like, ooh, this shape looks good right here as kind of a forearm, just right on top like that. I think that looks good. And then we want to give them an arm. There's a couple things that we could do. So let's say that their short range weapon is like maybe a clawed arm, a small little clawed arm that they can attack you with if you get close. And then their longer range weapon is more of this massive arm that's going to have like a hammer or a giant ball and spike, whatever it might be, right? So let's go ahead and put this down right here. I think that looks okay. And then we could use spikes to kind of represent a claw. So let's go ahead and desaturate these. Bring the brightness up. Where are we at for time? 44. Yep, short on time, but that's okay. We're going to get a golem done. We might go over just a little bit. I hope no one minds. let's go ahead and let's make the thumb first. Thumb 1 can go right there. And then we'll add in some, and you know what? We don't have to give him 4. We can give him different sizes. So let's just give him various shapes to make it more unique and interesting. Instead of a perfectly recognizable arm, we could make something a little bit more interesting and unique. Okay, let's take a look. Well, you may not mind if I go over, but someone else might, so. Okay, let's go ahead and switch this over to the side. There we go. I think that little arm looks great. And I think what I'll do is I'll kind of rotate them a little bit. And let's see here. I think I'll have them face this way a little bit. All right, let's go ahead and bring the brightness down on this one. It's a little below the shoulder pad, and the forearm is a little higher up. So we'll just bring the brightness down on that one. And then we're also going to put some fun stuff on the back, like some crystals, I think. Crystals are from the earth. They're a geological feature element, and so it kind of makes sense to maybe add that kind of onto it. And so for the big arm, we'll just make a bigger variation of the other arm, but this time we'll use something else for the forearm. So let's just scale it down because I'm kind of running out of room just a little bit. Let's move this over to here, move this over to here. There we go. Now I got some room. I generally prefer to scale it up so I can kind of see better. So we'll get this big section of this part of the arm ready, and then we're going to use something like maybe we could use a trap of some kind with a big spike on it. There might be something in jungle. There's this big spike right here. I think there was a circular, maybe a cylinder-like one. We could check that out. Ooh, you know what? I like this right here. This is cool. I like that. Let's use this. Custom none. Let's use a pipe for the cylinder. Okay. And I'm going to end up desaturating a lot of this stuff, so we'll end up desaturating all of this. Oops, I missed that one. Desaturate as well. Put this big thing on top, like this. We're getting there. We're just going to scale it down. I want to put like a big, kind of crazy looking weapon. Okay, here's the first part, so we'll add that in. Do I have some spikes facing upward? Not really, but we can just do this instead. Just kind of place this on the top like that. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and select, make sure all of it's selected. Create group. We're going to call it a weapon of some kind. And then we'll scale it down, and then we're going to put this on the arm like this. And so you have this like big weapon. And I'm going to exaggerate it to where it's just really exaggerated, ridiculous. In fact, it's a little on the thick side. I would say that we probably need to make it a little bit thinner. So we'll change the height on these. There we go. And I think I might be able to fill it all in one barrel instead. Let's turn off the shadow on that. Let's fit this in like this. There we go. Okay. I think that looks a little bit better. There we go. Okay, cool. Awesome. Much better. There we go. And then we can put that, just attach that onto here. And in fact, I might want to push this out a little bit more this way. There we go. And then we're going to have a nice, giant, chunky, thick arm right here. And then let's go put some crystals on the back part. So let's type in crystal. And I think these will work just fine, but I'm going to stick with the color theme of green. So we've got hue. We'll switch it over to green, layer none, no shadow. And then we're going to want to make sure that these are kind of above the shoulder part, but above the head part. And so it'll look like these are attached to the back. And what I was thinking is that we already have some asymmetry, like this massive arm is probably going to be heavy on that side. So what might be kind of cool is to choose one shoulder that's going to have a bunch of crystals, and that should balance out some of the character, some of the character a little bit. And you can even throw some on the back as well, like out here if you wanted to. Up to you how much you want to add. We could even change up the blend mode if you wanted to as well, to have them be a different blend mode, so we could go through to have them be different colors. So if you wanted to add in screen to make them like that, overlay, the color dodge. Let's see here, we could go in overlays, lights, whatever kind of, oh, I like that purplish kind of thing. That's kind of cool. Color, luminosity. So you can kind of go through the different ones that you want, whichever one you think works best. Let's go ahead and bring the brightness up on this. And I think that kind of looks okay. Let's bring it in a little bit more. I think there's something that we should probably put on the head as well. Let's rotate the head so it's kind of facing more towards me and going this way. And then we also need to create some legs, and then we'll add some final little details, and then we'll work on the next one. Let's bring the brightness down because it's farther down. And then I'm thinking, let's have him go kind of like that. I think should be okay. We'll just copy paste. There we go. And now you have kind of a rock golem here. Let's put his leg over to here, and then we'll put this foot over to here maybe. There we go. Now you have this nice big rock golem. Let's go ahead and add just some final details to the head, just to kind of give it a little more interesting look to it. Oopsie, I don't want to load the art. My bad. Yeah, golems are pretty dang awesome. All right, let's go ahead and throw in something for the head. Something more interesting for the head. We could put like a volcano from the sci-fi on top. That could be interesting. Let's go ahead and open up the head first. Let's take this piece right here and just put it right on top. Like that. There we go. And then we're going to change the hue to green. And then there you go. Now you have a nice... Oh, let's bring the brightness down a little bit so it's not... It blends a little better. There we go. And this could be like... There we go. Bring the brightness down. I want it to match in a little bit more. Just to saturate just a little bit. There we go. Okay. And now you have this more interesting shape for the head that makes it more interesting. The last thing that I would recommend is just using that light source to make that eyeball pop out, right? So just take that orange one. We'll switch it over to green. Bring it out. And there's a couple options here. You can just use that straight green light, or you can switch over the blend modes. It could be darken to where it's this interesting, scary dark color. It could be color burn. You can make it lighten to have it more this kind of glowy-like feel to it. Up to you. All right. So we have this nice, massive golem here. Let's go ahead and create one more monster token. All right. Yeah, his brain is exposed. Maybe that's their weakness, right? All right. So looks like we're going to end up making 4 monster tokens today. Great. And again, I'll make sure to save these, and you guys can clone and edit them if you want to. So far, I really like the golem. That one's my favorite. Really, really like that giant arm. Yes, I will post these to clone. Absolutely. If you like these and you want to use them, you totally can. Oh, hey, there is one more trick that I want to do, by the way. One more little thing I want to show you. Real cool. Check this out. We can use the shape tool to actually create some interesting veins in the rock. Right now, the rock is very, I don't know, looks kind of simple, but it would make sense that there's magic coursing through these ore-like veins that are in the rock. And so if we go to hell and then we type in this cracks with lava, we can actually bring the texture size down and then change the hue to this greenish color. Let me just apply it real first. Let me just add it on here. So we'll put some here. Let's go up a layer. There it is. I can kind of see it. Oh, it looks like the blur is on. So let's turn that off. There we go. Blur is off. Turn the opacity all the way up. There we go. Great. Now let's also mess with the texture scale. There we go. It still looks a little blurry to me. Is it, for some reason, is it blurry to me? Not sure. Okay. Is it, oh, maybe it's set a different blend mode. Ah, there we go. Normal. There we go. Perfect. There we go. And you can kind of see these nice little green cracks. And so we just put these very simple green like veins on the body so that it looks like the magic is coursing through the creature. There we go. If we go to hell. I love that. There we go. Let's go quickly save these changes. All right. Awesome. This has been so much fun, you guys. I absolutely love making monster tokens. And I will be making more. I don't generally make them too often, maybe once every other couple of weeks. Remember, you can just join our Discord server if you have suggestions. I will make them. Okay, let's make a steampunk crab. I think that would be fun. So let's not go to hell. Let's type in barrel. And I think a barrel will work great for the body of a steampunk crab. So we'll start with that. So here's the body work of the crab. We'll start with that. Next, we want to probably maybe create a head. So we might want to take a look at what we could use as a head. Let's see here. There's all kinds of fun things that we could do. We could also just go over to steampunk pack and just kind of go over our options here on what we might want to use. Oops, I don't really want to show the names. I want to expand all assets. Okay. Okay. Gonna make a steampunk crab. I mean, we could make different types of crabs, but I think a steampunk is a good start, or at least I think so. So let's go ahead and create the head. And so we'll kind of use this as the head. I'm going to desaturate a little bit. There we go. Custom none. Let's see here. Transform none. Crab people. Crab people. Yeah, get it right, you guys. Come on. Let's go push it down a layer here. I'm going to rotate it. It's going to act as like kind of like a head. And then we can kind of put something to act as like eyes. I do think there is a sconce. This one, I think. This sconce right here might work. Layer none. Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right, kind of coming together here. All right, if this doesn't turn out well, we'll make a different one. Because so far, I'm not liking the way it's going. I'm not like the way it's going in. But that's okay. Oh, let's see here. Ooh, maybe some kind of ladder that goes on top of it. That'd be kind of cool, right? Your players have to climb on top of it to smash it in the head. I think that makes it more fun, right? Okay. Let's see about making some legs here. A couple ways that you can go about making legs. I think we could just probably use wood for it. It's an apparatus of quality. Nice. All right, let's go with making the legs. I think what we should do is add in some gears. I think it's a good start. So I want to add some decorations to it to make it more interesting. We could start with maybe putting a, let's go ahead and put that there as a decoration. We'll add in some more gears as well. I mean, it's steampunk, right? And so I kind of associate gears and stuff with steampunk. We'll have to add some pipes as well for steam coming out of. I think that's a good place to go as well. Got the head tilt a little bit. Let's add in just a couple more gears, I think. Should be good. Let's add a gear here in the back, and we'll bring the brightness down and turn the shadow off. There we go. Let's put a smaller gear over right here. There we go. Just kind of adding in little pieces here and there. Just adding in the details. Adding another little gear right here. I think that looks good. There we go. All right, the gear pieces are coming together. Let's go ahead and make those legs. And we'll start with just making, we'll kind of just use your basic wood stamps to act as the legs for starters. Oopsie, not working here. I realized not to do that. Wood, here we go. Oh, let's see here. Ooh. I kind of like this wooden shape. I think that's kind of an interesting shape. Let's take that. Let's also go back into steampunk. Well, actually, I think it's in wizard. Let me check here. Wizard, there should be a coil. Perfect. Let's get the coil here. That kind of makes sense. We'll add a coil. This is going to act as the suspension for the legs so that they can maneuver properly. So we'll go ahead and place these together, copy and paste. And let's go ahead and bring this even further down. I'm not so sure. I think maybe just one of them might work better. And then we'll add a spring to the side of it. I think let's just do that. So we'll add a spring right here, put it right here. Let me see. There might be something that can act as something to connect them. I think there are some sconces that have that. Let's see here. This sconce right here will work just fine. So I'll go ahead and place that there and that there. Perfect. And now I can actually set it up to where the spring will go from one side to the other. There we go. Just like that. There we go. Okay, here's our first part of the leg. Let's also create the shoulder part. Let's add in, or not shoulder, but the kneecap area. So we'll go ahead and put a gear down here like this. I think that'll work out great. And then we'll put a smaller one or a bigger one right here. This will kind of represent the ability for the leg to rotate. And then let's see here. Let's go ahead and add caps for the top of them. I think we're going to go ahead and use... Okay, let's just go ahead and use a stool. The trick is just to think outside of the box. Remember, a stool is not a stool, right? A stool is not... Don't take that the wrong way. A stool is not a stool, okay? But a stool is a stool. Yeah, I mean, you're just gonna have to look at stamps and kind of use them for different... Sorry, my bad. A stool is not a stool, okay? It acts as something else. So here's that first part of the leg. So I'll create group. This is going to be that first part of the leg. And then if I rotate like this, copy, paste, I'll kind of have these pieces set up to where I can add my legs. And if I remember correctly, crab, that's 6 legs, I believe. I don't think it's 4, is it? 4 is an arachnid, I believe. So let's go ahead and rotate it, and we'll have it face the other way. There we go. Okay. And then from here, we can kind of set up the position, copy, paste. We'll rotate this like that. And then we'll have to flip them around. That's on the inside. This one, I think, on this side. There we go. Okay. And then from here, we can kind of position how we want the legs to be. So I think I'll have some legs be facing this way. This way. Okay, let's see here, 4 legs. Oh, we do want to have, 4 legs and then claws. So let's have, these are going to be the legs, and then we'll have these be the claws. We'll make them just a little bit bigger. We'll have the claws just be a little bit bigger. Okay, so here is that part of the leg. Let's go ahead and make the claw part, since that's going to be important. So a couple options here. Let's make some really creepy claws. Why not use these saws right here to act as kind of the claws? I think that would work out great. So there's like this sawing action. And so to do this, we'll go ahead and put one like that, and then we'll take another one like this. We'll flip it and put it here like this. And then we're going to want to create a connection for those two. So we might want to put a gear on top of it, and then maybe a cap on top of that. There we go. Okay. And let's turn off all those shadows. There we go. Let's take a look here. Okay, cool. Create group. All right. Awesome. And so we have the claw. Oh, you know what? I think there needs to be a little bit more arm to it. It's not just a claw. It has to have an arm that goes attached to it. So what we could do is just copy and paste one of these, actually, and just use it again, just at a smaller scale. So just bring the scale down, put it right on top like this, scale it up just a little bit, and then we'll have a nice claw piece that we can add on. Oops, my bad. Just like that. There we go. Great. Perfect. Copy, paste. Let's go ahead and let's rotate this to where this, because I'm noticing that the springs are hitting each other. So I'll rotate these and move them off to the side so that the springs aren't hitting each other. And then I'll just copy and paste this and just flip it. And then we have our next part right there. And I'll maybe change the position of them a little bit like that. There we go. Okay. So now, and then to have more balance, the legs need to be inward like this. There we go. Okay. And so now we have that set up. Let's go ahead and scale it down. Let's go ahead and add in the feet part. And there's a couple ways to do this. Honestly, I think these right here from the steampunk pack will probably work great. They're really thick kind of pads. They're technically meant to be a fan, but these would work just fine as kind of like a padded foot to kind of go down. So we'll turn this off and just put it down like this. Now, if you wanted to show that the leg was straight down, you could just put it right underneath like that, or if you wanted to have them rotate a little bit like they're extended, then you'd probably want to take another one of these pieces, copy and paste like this, and then have it like this to make them look like they're extended. So it's really up to you which way you want to go about doing it. Honestly, I think some of them should be extended and some of them shouldn't be. So it's a little mix of both, if that makes any sense. So we could put one right here like this, and then copy and paste and put another one right here like this. It's just barely moving, and then these other two can be in the front, and then maybe this one right here could be going out just a little bit. Kind of like that, copy, paste. And then you have your nice little steampunk. Now, one thing we don't have is we don't have some pipes. So let's go ahead and add in some more pipe work. We need to add in some kind of combustion engine. It's a steampunk crab, so it needs to have some kind of combustion to it. So we're going to have to create that part of it. So a couple options that we could do is we could create a combustion engine in the back of it, a steam engine in the back of it that could be like this in the caboose in which it operates, and there's some pipes in the back. We could have it be off balance and have a steam engine with a boiler being on the side, on the top, like this. You could have it on the very top, like this. You could have it over here. It's up to you, really, on what you think would be the best place to kind of put it. I think in the back doesn't make a lot of sense, but putting it on the top might be a good idea. So we have some vents right here for the boiler, and then we might want to create some vents as well. So if we type in pipe, there should be some these pipes right here, and we can kind of just use this to go right on top right here, and then put this one right on top like that. And then there is your exhaust pipe coming out. And then we might want to put some smoke down. And in fact, I think let's go to Fantasy World, and there's some like a little bit of light in the smoke right here, I think, that make it looks like there's something burning. So just put that just right on top like that. And now you have your steampunk crab. There we go. Let's go ahead and create group and call it crab. There we go. All right. So, I mean, putting together monster tokens is just about finding the right pieces that you want to use to get it to work right. And so it's not complex. You can make mechanical creatures. You can make organic quadrupeds. You can make bipedal creatures, whether they're anthropomorphic, whether it's a bear that also has a human body, or whether it's a stone golem like we have here. So a lot of different things that you can create. It's just limited by your imagination and how to put things together. All right, you guys, thank you so much. This has been great. Really enjoyed this stream. We probably will have future monster token streams where what we'll do is I'll just ask the community what to make, and then we'll just make those monster tokens, and that way we kind of have these fun little streams where we can just make monster tokens and stuff. All right, you guys are awesome. You rock. Love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching the stream. I'm going to see you guys probably next week on Wednesday. I think it's either creating an epic world or an epic mountain city. I don't remember, but I'm excited about that. All right, everyone, please stay safe and healthy, and merry map making. Bye, everyone.